we're going to talk today about a really cool topic that is hitting hard to home with my household right now, and probably might be hitting hard to your household as well. And that is that you got a 20-something that's getting ready to start life. Tanner's gone through that moment recently, and he's still working through that moment, right? How old are you?
That's right. I'm 25.
25. So Tanner's still in the middle of that, working through it, but he has a lot of friends that are going through it and stuff. So a lot of great experience we're going to have here today. When you start to take responsibility for all your own stuff, like paying your cell phone, student loans come due, buying your own clothes and food, pay your own car insurance, have your own car. You know what I mean? My son had a family car that he was using up until 6 months ago or whatever, or a year ago. About 6 months ago, wasn't it, honey?
He was super excited, and we found him a really great deal.
Yeah, he got a great deal on the little Honda. But yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff has large expenses, having an adult career and a job, start saving for retirement, getting married and having a family. I mean, granted, getting married and having a family is happening later now than it used to. Before getting married and having a family was 2022,
There was a period there where people, I think, were just deciding, like, heck with it. I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to go on vacations. I'm going to go to concerts. I'm going to go out with my friends. I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah.
And the reality is some people stayed in that mindset for a little longer than they should.
Yeah.
And how I know that is when I look at someone's credit report.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You can see where it is and where it went, where it's been. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so this idea that have this conversation really came about the fact that I got a son going through this right now. And he graduated from college from UW-Platteville, lived at home for a little bit or whatever, and he's like, I'm ready to start life. Let's do this, So he wanted to get his own car. Cool. Wants to pay his own car insurance. Well, he didn't want to pay his own car insurance, but he paid his own car insurance.
I highly doubt he wanted to do that.
Yeah, he now is paying his own cell phone bill and stuff. He's been buying his own clothes for a while now. He's like, I'm ready. I'm gonna do this thing. And so he started talking to a buddy about possibly renting, and then possibly I was talking to him about maybe buying a house or buying a duplex or doing some house hacking or something like that.
I think I talked to him briefly.
Yeah, you talked to him for a little bit. I referred him to you or whatever.
Yep.
I think Mark talked to him for your dad. Talked to him for a little bit about it. But it's something that it really is something that you have to consider all of your options. But now when we look at buying versus renting, right? Renting is you don't have any equity, you don't have anything, right?
What's the interest rate on rent?
100%.
Yep.
It doesn't
Might as well
make
throw
We didn't plan that either. It's just facts.
It's just the fact. Yeah, you pay rent, you're not going to have a penny of equity in anything,
No, and I feel like a lot of people, back to the topic of 20-somethings, I feel like when you have that feeling of you want your independence, you kind of just block everything out, and you're like, where's the fastest place I can go to just get out of here, you know? And so that, the year I got out of college, I was like, well, I guess I'll just stay in Madison and pay $1,000 a month for a tiny little apartment in a 1800s building,
And I can hang out with my buddies, and I don't have mom and dad hanging over my ear, and I can play video games all night long if I want.
That's right. Well, and you can do that kind of stuff, and maybe you can enjoy that for a year, but I quickly snapped out of it because I was like, where's all my money going? It's got to be going somewhere. I'm not gaining any appreciation, any assets, things like that. So
$1,000 a month, man. $12,000 a year of your income is going directly to this other dude's pocket, and you don't get nothing back except for you get to live in this.
Right, and that's not including utilities and Wi-Fi, water, things like that.
Insurance, everything else.
Yeah, and then if you're hanging out with all your friends all the time,
they're expensive.
They're right there on the weekends. Yeah, you spend so much more money, especially in a city like Madison or Milwaukee. You're spending at least $100 when you go out on a Friday or Saturday, whatever it is.
Especially now.
Yeah, probably even more now, to be honest.
So Tanner, how did you make your decision?
How did I make my decision?
Well, tell them what your decision was.
Okay.
So you left the apartment, right?
Yeah. So I left the apartment in Madison. I was still working at a software company there, but I moved back home, back to Wales, because I realized I gotta save up and try and do something else because this isn't working.
Didn't have a down payment.
Right. Not even close. Yeah. And so at that time I was thinking about getting into real estate with my parents. So it seemed like an opportune time to come back and try and recuperate my finances and and make the career switch that I wanted to do.
Even though it was painful.
Right.
Probably to move back home with mom and dad, right?
Well, it was, but it also is
not
nice.
That they're not nice.
Right. No, they're very nice. I work with them every day and I choose to, so that should speak to them. And my journey took me, I was 10 months living at home, and then obviously I had the urge to get back out and I really didn't want to go back to an apartment, but I had been saving money. I was making more money. Got in touch with Bill just to see what we could do. I contacted him first because, I work with him on a daily basis and he's great. And other than that, I just wanted to know where I was at. Also, he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's not going to tell you, well, you really could, get a house at 250, but you really only qualify for 230. That doesn't happen either. Yeah. He tells you how it is, exactly how it is, and where you can shop. And so then from there, I took myself on my own showings, and second house I looked at, I wanted it, threw down an offer, and ended up winning it out. So
and the timing was right. Like things fell into place.
Yeah, things did fall into place, and they do if you take care of your finances and you stay on top of things and you work really hard.
Yep.
You can definitely achieve it. And I take people through that same process that have been kind of doing the same thing that I was living at home.
Most of your clients you're telling me is your friends and family that are mid-20s, and that's kind of your niche right now, right?
Right, exactly.
Now, we also brought up earlier that you do this little house hack thing, right? Mm-hmm. So what's your living situation like?
Yeah, so
you charging your girlfriend money?
No.
That would have been a good one. Okay.
So I don't charge her money. She only comes over when she has to work at Children's, which is 5 minutes away from my house, so it's not a big deal. I'm happy to offer that. Once I got the accepted offer, I was kind of reaching out to my friends who I knew that rented in Milwaukee or Waukesha or whatever. People that I knew I would want to live with. Because first of all, I don't need a 1,400 square foot house to myself. It's not a mansion by any means, but what am I?
1,400 square feet's a lot.
What am I going to do with the rest of this? Just not decorate it, not put stuff down there. Just would look weird. Be a 1-bedroom apartment in a 1,400 square foot building. So, and then 2 of my friends happened to be like a month out of their getting out of their lease, right? And they hadn't found a new place. And they're 2 of my best friends from high school, so that worked out perfect. And basically how the situation works is, I had them sign a contract for, like, as you would for a lease.
Like a lease.
But I charge them way more than fair price for the rent in the area. Having them just even help on the mortgage is huge for me. And plus I get the company of them. We hang out all the time.
They get a little cheaper rent.
They get
for sure.
No, it's
you don't have to worry about a landlord or nothing like that.
No, exactly. It's
and
take care of your own stuff. I trust you.
Yep.
And if you break stuff, it's in the contract.
Yeah, and you have you bear the responsibility if something breaks or something like that, because you still have that portion of a landlord role.
Yeah.
But it's also because you are the owner of the property. If the relationship goes bad, you're still insulated, right? And then they would have to go find someplace else to live.
Right.
So protecting yourself in that house act is important too,
100%.
So you wanted to make sure they weren't going to become squatters one day. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right.
But when you guys have all had roommates before.
I'm not leaving.
But it can go bad too. So you got to be really careful who you're choosing to have your roommates as. And you also need to insulate yourself when you're doing that kind of thing. So having a lease when you're the owner of the property, not just saying, "Hey Jimmy, come live with me. Give me $500 on Saturday, every other Saturday." Or whatever,
We will help people who are going to qualify outside their typical debt to income ratio allowance, where they know they're going to have some people helping out with the mortgage payment. There are some creative ways to get people to a higher debt ratio or affordability ratio when they know they're going to have people helping out.
I bought a single family home. I did not buy a duplex. Yeah. So it was almost imperative for me to find somebody who I knew and who I trusted and who I liked to come live with me. Because we're going to be in the same space. With a duplex,
there's a wall, a separate door.
Right, exactly. And you can take your chances on apartments.com or whatever have you to fill that space. But for me, it was all the same space. Yeah. So
I would only have done it the way you did it too if I was going to do it.
Yeah, right. And the reality of house hacking, you guys, is that you can hear stories and you can talk to people out there that they're paying almost nothing for their mortgage because they're renting out the other half of the duplex. They have a roommate in their current side, and the more amount that they pay to their mortgage is like $150. But they also carry the insurance and all that other kind of stuff, bear the responsibility if the roof has
deferred
to be replaced
maintenance
and stuff like that. But there's definitely a financial upside to doing that, and to look at what happens to house prices. It's a different world.
My first house was $240,000 in Waukesha, and that house 18 years later sold for $473,000.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. When you're talking about an investment from a investment perspective, a house, you're not only gaining on paying down your mortgage, and now you have cash equity in the home, but now the value of the house goes up as well. So you're drawing your mortgage down, your value of the house is going up. So this all is in the middle is your equity. It's money that you got coming back to you is growing, you know, and it's just a great wealth builder.
We did a look back. And I got the slides from an economist at Madison, and it was a 10-year look back, and the average appreciation was 5.9% per year if you did a 10-year look back.
And even if you're going to own a home for a short period of time, you're probably still going to come out ahead. So,
my plan to be moving forward from this is stay in this house for, let's say, a couple of years. Let's just be conservative. Sure. But then when you have enough money again for another down payment, and you can just fully rent out that other house, then you go buy another house and live in that. And you have a full rental property on this side, and now you have a new one, and maybe you're house hacking the second one too.
Yeah, somebody's paying the mortgage down, the value of that house is going up, and now you're in another house doing the same type of thing, and just keep growing your portfolio that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guys that are in the rental business, the landlords and stuff, they talk about doors. And
how many doors you have?
How many doors you got? And got one guy says, I have 87 doors these days. I'm like, that's a lot of people to take care of.
Right, that's a big responsibility, and that's another thing too, is you have to manage that as well.
Yeah, right.
The thing I was going to say though this year was that we got that nice enhancement for those folks that want to do the house hack, the 2 to 4 unit properties. Fannie Mae released that enhancement to do 5% down on 2 to 4 unit properties if you're going to own or occupy, and that is something that is
for 4 units.
Yes.
Wow.
However, about 2 weeks after I purchased my single family house.
Yeah, isn't that right? Yeah. My last tip would be to not base your decision on whether or not you should buy a property around the price of a home. You should first learn what your mortgage payment affordability looks like, and then back that into a sales price, because the first home isn't going to be the long-term one. You should find something if you were going to take the things that you like about the property and focus on those, and then say, here's the things that will eventually correct or improve over time, so that you at least can get your foot into home ownership, because time in the market is better than trying to time the market.
Yeah.
Right, Tanner?
Yeah, for sure. Time in the market beats time being in the market.
And that pre-approval is where we do this, right?
Absolutely.
And that pre-approval is where you do that. And before you even think about going to look at houses, or even before you go on Zillow and look at houses online, get that pre-approval, because you could be looking at the way wrong market, dollar figure wise, and
you may, all the time.
And it just puts you in a bad place. You want to start with realistic numbers so that you're prepared for that house hunting, and that you're going to be looking at houses that you qualify for. Because if you go look at houses you don't qualify for, and then you write an offer that you don't qualify for, and then it's just.
I jokingly say, honey, we're gonna just pull right out of the parking lot at the Lexus dealership. We're gonna go right across the street to the Toyota store.
Yeah, it's just. It's one of those
Tanner,
things.
that's part of that pre-planning, pre-education stage, right?
Yeah, it's part of the buyer education meeting that we have. Yeah.
Essential step. All right.
There's one more really important step for someone looking to buy their first house that I really believe, and that is, it's super important if you're told that you should start to be able to target to afford a certain house payment per month, open up a separate independent bank account and put that amount of money in that bank account every single month separately. Yep. And see how much you have left for your residual cash flow at the end of a month, and do that for 2 or 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
You'll be saving money along the way, or you're really establishing that foundation that you can really afford to do that, because too many people afford how much they pay for rent as the benchmark for how much they would spend for a house payment. So if for 3 or 4 months you can track your spending that way by knowing this money's already been kind of accounted for, I can't touch it, then it makes it a lot more comfortable when you talk to Tanner and he's helping you try to figure out the confidence of, like, let's go.
Yeah, lots of good stuff out there this week, you guys. If you're 20-something, you got questions about what you can financially afford, talk to this guy, Bill Moeller. Go get a pre-approval over at Bank 59. He'd be happy to chat with you. He's got also lots of good stuff out there about affordability and loans and all that.
Charts and graphs.
Charts and graphs. And that, if you want somebody that gets excited about charts and graphs, he's the guy for you. Yeah, but lots of good stuff out there. You can give him a call. You can reach him at Bank 59, but you can also look him up on buildabanker.com. He'd be happy to consult with you. If you're looking for a house, you're looking for an agent to list your house with, it can't beat the Smith team, Wisconsin. Tanner Smith here representing the Smith team today. They would be a great resource for you. Lots of good stuff out there. You guys have a tagline. Do you remember your tagline?
Make your dreams a realty.
Ooh, he's got it. His dad would always break that up. Bill's going too. Bill, what's yours? remember yours?
I don't really have one.
You had one the one time.
Charts and graphs.
Charts and graphs. Live it, love it, learn it.
I'll get you pre-approved. Boom.
There you go. But thanks again for tuning in, you guys. We really appreciate you. If you don't mind, hit the subscribe button. Smash that bell notification. Give me a thumbs up if you like what you heard here today, all right? But have a great one, you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember, you guys, the better you take care of your house, the better it's going to take care of you. We'll see you on the next one.